Welcome back. We want to take a look today at some of the tools I carry with me at all times, my everyday carry tools, we'll call them. I find that there's a lot of things that I need to work on throughout the day. Sometimes I don't work on anything at all. Sometimes I have quite a few things to do. And this is all in the context of my regular daily job. I kind of do the building maintenance, I guess you could say, in some aspects. Sometimes there's an outlet that needs to get put in, or something has to be replaced like that, or the sink broke, or you need to replace a faucet, or the parts of the toilet, like the flapper and the valve, all that stuff went bad, so I have to replace that. Or there's always been something that I find I need to work on. So I've kind of assembled myself a little bit of a miscellaneous tool bag, and there's all sorts of different pieces to it. Some things are more relevant to others. The most recent addition to my arsenal was the iFixit repair set, which it's an all-inclusive kit that's pretty much everything I need to do electronics and cell phones and computers and all that fun stuff. So there's a whole range of smaller bits in there and proprietary bits like the ones Apple uses, and you kind of get the idea. But I find that kit is, while great for doing smaller stuff, when it comes to the larger things, you need to have more tools. And being handy, you can never have too many tools, in my opinion. And having the tools and the knowledge of how to use them, they go hand in hand together. And well, one of those things, as you can see here in front of you, is this Porter cable 20-volt lithium set, which has both the impact driver, which is this jammy here. If you don't know what an impact driver is, it's different than a drill in that there's little hammers in here that, as this turns and it senses tension, it uses the hammers to drive the nail or whatever fastener in. Now this is good for, like, I've used it to repair my deck. I've used it for things like that, or the place I work for, we had to put a projector up in the ceiling and I needed to string a board along the rafters that I can hang the projector mount from, so I used something like this to drive the screws into that piece of wood. And then of course you have your drill, which has its many uses. And this actually came together in a set with the charger in the bag, and I added together this impact grade driver set and your standard drill bit set. And I just put these in the bag because they're nice little cases. Keeps everything organized, and I definitely am all about organization. But that's just one little facet. I find that this kit has been immensely helpful. And I've always been a DeWalt guy. I have a DeWalt drill that I've received many years ago that the batteries finally died on, and the price on this was great. I got this a couple Christmases ago with Christmas money. I want to say it was like 120 bucks for the set. It definitely serves its purpose. But this is one of those things that I just throw together. I keep it in this bag and I take it with me whenever I know I'm going out on a job. It's been, like I said, indispensable. Now if you look, and you've seen this before, you'll note that this is my repair bench. And while I can't take the whole bench with me when I go out to do a job, if there's something I know I'm going to work on that I need the tools, as you can see over here in my homemade magnetic tool organizer, I will actually throw them in a small toolbox with my soldering equipment if I need that and take it with me. But there's different things that I do when it comes to computer repairs. Either it's a computer repair, which the iFixit kit can take care of all that, or it's electronics, again, which that can take care of. Sometimes I have to solder something or cobble something together, which all those little micro tools help me with. Of course, the soldering iron helps me with. I do have a Heiko soldering station that, of course, pretty much lives here, but if I want to, I can, of course, take it with me. You can see I have it just sitting right up here. And ultimately I'm going to have tools used here in the shop, and I'm going to have tools that I bring with me. if money wasn't an object, you know, I would have a perfectly constructed kit of every little thing that I need, whether I know I need it or not. And you know, the iFixit kit is definitely part of that equation. Oops, sorry. And you can see, of course, I have him as always in the bag it came with. I'm not going to do a full review of everything in this, but you know, you kind of remember from last time, I keep some soldering equipment, just one of these handheld soldering irons, because you know, sometimes you don't need the full iron, you just need to go in there and do something quick. And I do suggest checking out the link in the description where I have the full review. But of course, like I said, you know, this has everything. This is more geared towards, like I said, cell phone repairs, and you know, that kind of stuff. So there's definitely things in here that you're not going to use every single day. But ultimately, I will have inventory of different cell phone parts, particularly iPhone screens and things like that, that you know, are prone to break a lot and people need repaired a lot. So that'll be something that will probably be kept out in the truck, and then when I come to your house or place of business, I'm just going to grab your phone and use this kit and the parts I have to just do a quick repair for you. But you know, that's still a specialized thing. When you get into the general stuff, you get into something like this Stanley toolbox that I have over here. And this big beast of a box, this has pretty much, you know, every tool that I've known I've needed. And hopefully I can get the right angle here. If not, I'll have to take the camera off my tripod. But this box is nice because it has this organizer set up at the top. Actually, what I am going to do is just take the camera off this tripod here so you can get a more bird's eye view of what I'm looking at. Now again, this is, like I said, a general repair box. And if I know how to fix it, or if I know how to install it, or have worked on it before, I pretty much have all the bits in here to work on that kind of stuff. So obviously I have wire nuts of different sizes. I have some crimp pieces, some taps, butt connectors. I have these kind of clamps for working on like metal boxes. You know, I've done all this kind of stuff before. The building I work in is a commercial building, and you need to use the armor cord cable. That's what these red hats are for, they call them. This just slips in the end of the armor cord cable just to keep it, you know, protected for when the wires come through. And then you use something like one of these clamps to clamp it in place. Different size, you know, screws. Can't have too many screws. These are actually tools for removing aftermarket car stereos. I keep them in here because you never know when I need them. Here we have blanks for the same kind of metal boxes. Little punch down tool for doing telecom stuff. Automotive fuses of variety of different sizes and quantities. I do keep some random, you know, screws in here, different sizes. I find that the 16/32, and I have a couple others in here. You know, they're just general use machine screws. You know, there's always a situation where I need something like that, and I find that, like I said, just keeping it handy in a box. Of course, you have your carpenter's pencil sharpener. There's actually a pull tool. I don't have the rods in here, but it goes on the end of the drill. You use this to drill your hole out, and then when you pass this through the hole, you pop this drill bit off, and then you put this wire pulling tool on the end of it, and then you can use the drill to pull the wire right back through again. Those rods will live out in the truck somewhere. Of course, razor blades of different, you know, styles. I keep them in here because razor blades are always very handy. This tool here is actually neat. This was actually the first tool that I've used for cell phone repairs. It's one of these Torx bits that you can take this end, it's reversible, and then if you take this black cap off, there's other bits that store inside of it, as you can see right here. And this was from back in the Nextel days. I used to use this to tear the Nextel phones apart. There's a little you know, eyeglass screwdriver. Some of this stuff I had in here before I got the iFixit kit. so it's a little redundant having that kit in these pieces, but hey, like I said, you can never have too many tools. Then we have a little inspection mirror and a telescoping wand. Got this before I got the USB endoscope for the phone. Piece of sandpaper, variety of different, bits, screwdriver bits. It's pretty much it for that. And then this shuts, and then we have the bottom here. And this is where I keep, obviously, everything else. These are for installing lighting fixtures. There was a video where I did a bunch of LED conversions and took the old fluorescent lights out, and these are used for that. Of course, electrical tape. We have, well, I'll try to take these out one at a time. Klein crimp tool, or a cutting tool I should say. This is for stripping Romex cable of either 14.2 or 14.2 or 12.2. And you can strip the individual wires with this. You can cut the wires, and of course it has one of those standard threaded screw cutters. You can just thread a screw into it and use this to cut them to length. I like Klein tools. My dad's been using Klein tools since probably back in the 80s and the 90s, and even maybe earlier. They're definitely very reliable. So when I saw this, I said I'm going to pick one of those up, and this has been great. I've used this a hell of a lot of times for, like I said, running new wire and whatnot. And we have your standard drywall knife. I'm not going to bother really taking this out. You get the idea. Just a drywall knife. We have a coax cable crimper and stripper. You can imagine that has quite a bit of different uses. Now I don't have the networking tools in here, as in like the network, like Cat 5 crimper and stripper, simply because, well, I don't own one. The job I worked for bought one because I use it a lot there, and it's there, so it lives with them. But eventually we'll get one of those in this kit for myself. Of course, you need a pair of, these are actually smaller linesman pliers. I have a larger pair somewhere in here, or here. I'm not sure where these came from, but you could tell they've seen their life, their life usage. I don't know how well the insulation is going to work on these, but I don't really work on live circuits anyway. In fact, I definitely make sure they're dead before I do anything like that. But you can tell by looking at the teeth on this. This has definitely seen better days. Again, part of the tools that my father owned, probably older than I am. A pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of diagonal cutters. Well, this was a full roll of electrical tape, but I tend to keep these bins because they're good for keeping screws and parts and whatnot, especially when taking something apart. Phillips screwdriver. Its brother, the flathead, sits over here, since I don't have a part of, I don't have one over here. So I just put this one in the set. Actually, this is an older Stanley screwdriver. Yes, this belongs in the toolbox. I just kind of moved all my stuff from my shed out to here over the summer, or over the winter, last winter, and haven't really rounded everything out. So now that I have the truck, everything's going to be gone through here and organized a lot better, and I'm going to fill in the blanks, but I digress. This is your Allen tool set. Again, a Klein tool. Of course, you got your standard, 4-way screwdriver. I tend to use this one quite a bit, but I find that these have these thicker shafts and you can't always get down into stuff, so you do need a dedicated screwdriver. Another pair of needle nose pliers. More Allen wrenches. Hey, like I said, some things in here are redundant. I have a mini flathead screwdriver. Punch tool. Funny story about this punch tool. I actually had to buy something like this when my Mustang initially broke because I needed to drive the keyway out, and then after I got one I found out I didn't need to drive it out. I needed to take the timing belt cover apart to get to the rest of it, so this wasn't actually a necessary purchase, but I still find that I've used it quite a bit for stuff. Of course, you have your paint can opening tool, which always comes in handy. This is kind of a neat tool. This is an outlet tester. Again, one of these ones that's probably older than I am, but you know, even though when it comes to an outlet, I know what I've been doing. I've been helping my dad with his electrical stuff since I was probably 9 years old. But just in case it's not me and something else is wrong down the line, I use this and I plug it in, and depending on how the light's light, depends on, you know, whether you can tell if the outlet works or not. Obviously, when the two top ones light, it's okay. If not, you follow the diagnosis code over here. Now, he does have one of these that works for ground faults that you can actually use to test them. Because I believe actually when you plug this in, it shows the ground fault as being short, and it will actually trip it. So you do need a specific one for those. So that'll probably make its way in my box here too. Plumber's tape, because, you know, I've needed that. And then we come to the more interesting bits, namely rivets. You can't tell you how many times I found the need to rivet something after I've undid a rivet. So in here there should be a rivet gun as well. We have these large metal shears, which again, when I'm fabricating things or whatnot, I've used these. I've actually used these to cut the vinyl tiles on the floor in this room and throughout the rest of my house. As well as, you know, I've done things with like tin cans, or I've just botched together some projects, so I've used those for that. Here is said crimp tool. Not a big fan of this crimp tool. It's not crimp tool, it's actually a rivet gun, but I'm not a big fan of this rivet gun because I find that it just doesn't grab the rivets just right, and it does a lousy job, so I'm going to upgrade that eventually. Hacksaw. Can't tell you again how many times I've needed this hacksaw. This is an old electrical tester. Now I got to check the batteries in it because it does work as a continuity meter, but when the battery's at that, it doesn't work. But this will show you which voltage you're getting out of your outlet or your particular device, and whether or not it's in polarity or not, and whether or not it's DC or AC. And then if you touch the probes, like I said, you get continuity. My dad has dozens of these things lying around, so I just grabbed one of them one day, and well, the rest is history. Little mini level. I do have a larger one that I bring with me. Sometimes I find I'm installing shelves or, you know, some simple stuff like that. We have a Arrow brand hammer tacker. This is used for, you know, not that I do roofing stuff, but if you're putting like the tar paper down, you could use this to tack in the tar paper, or if you're putting vapor barrier up, or, you know, a bunch of different things like that. A good use for this is if you're having a garage sale and you got to hang signs up on the telephone poles. You just hold the sign in place and just whack it up with this. It takes 2 seconds. And then of course there's the matching hand stapler. Oh, we'll take this out first. This is a basin wrench for hooking up for tightening down the nuts on a faucet. And it kind of has this angled head that you can get up into place and just, you know, turn with. It's one of those like one-shot use tools, you know, you're only really going to need it in certain situations. And I don't always get a chance to need it, but, you know, it's there for when I have to. And then of course there's the staple gun for all those things you can't staple with the hammer tacker. And of course a box of staples. And a caulk gun. Because again, how many times have I needed to use a caulk gun and didn't have one? There's also, you know, another roll of electrical tape, just the cheapy dollar store stuff. I don't really recommend the dollar store stuff. I'd rather get the 3M brand electrical tape. I find that's a lot better. You know, chewed up wide drill bit, roll of, you know, grounding cable. Nothing spectacular, really. This kit will definitely be looked at and fine-tuned for the kind of work that I do. There's a couple things like a pipe wrench and so on and so forth that I'll throw in here. But hey, like I said, it's Pileggi Technical Services. It's a computers and electronics, what I say, concierge service. So I'm doing home theater installations and computer repair, electronics repair, and home office, small office maintenance work, and network cabling and you know, the whole telecom thing and coax cable, and you know, you get the whole idea. So while there are things in here that I find that I don't necessarily need on a daily basis for that kind of work, there have been plenty of situations where it's been like, oh hey, since you're here, do you happen to know how to fix this, or do you know what's going on with this, or whatever. I most of the time have been able to fix that kind of stuff, and I find like, oh damn, if I only had this tool with me, if I only had, you know, a bunch of screws or something, I could have fixed that for them. And you know, 9 times out of 10 now I have those tools. And once I get everything organized the correct way that I want and fill in all the blanks of the things I don't have and whatnot, this will be a much more complete set. But most of this stuff is actually going to find a home out in the truck. The most used pieces will be put in the toolbox. The least used pieces obviously will end up out there in the shelves in the truck. And I'm going to be a mobile repair shop. I'm going to have everything I need to work on anything I can, pretty much. And then of course what I can't work on, because I don't have the right tools or whatnot, will probably end up just coming back here to the shop to get worked on, and you know, in here. Well, with that, I don't really have much more to add to this video, so of course I want to thank you for watching. I always thank everyone for watching my videos. I know that sometimes they can be a little drawn out, or they don't sound like they're really on subject of what I'm trying to accomplish, but you know, such is the mind. I try to encompass as most of this as possible. I will mention to, you know, check out my Facebook page. I do post there pretty frequently. Sometimes, you know, throughout the week I'll have stuff on there where I really only get to shoot videos on the weekends now. And by the time I edit them and upload them, you know, they do get put up during the week, but you know, there's more frequent stuff on Facebook. I did get past the 50 mark, the halfway point that I've been trying to achieve. And it seems like I'm gaining new subscribers every day, which is really, really great. If you're not already a subscriber, my goal is to get to 100 subscribers this year, and being that it's March already, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to that point. And then we'll see what the next goal is going to be after that. This is what makes my channel grow. I do appreciate you giving me either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you do decide to give me a thumbs down, just let me know why. Leave a little note in the comments section of why you disliked my video. That way I can try to improve upon them and make the next video better. And you know, if you, like I say all the time, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I really appreciate that. You know, that's a really awesome gesture. That's what makes me want to do more of these videos. And well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next video.